Oh yeah, Brian. Yeah, come in if you want.
Join us at the table.
Join us at the table. Oh, good. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody here to today's Heritage Committee meeting. Firstly, I'd like to start with the statement of acknowledgement. We'd like to acknowledge this land that we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Kaurna people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. Now, the roll call, we've got yes, we've got apologies from Councillor Diane Fraser, Mrs Judy Gillett-Ferguson and Miss Helen Hennessy. So that's our apologies today. Any motions to grant leave of absence? No? Okay. No leave of absence, non-attendance. Any declarations of interest in the items for today? No? Okay. Just confirmations of the minutes of October the 8th, 2020. Someone like to move those? No? Yep. Someone like to second that? Any discussion? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Now, any business arising from those minutes? Well, that'll be covered in the agenda. Okay. Moving on. Officers Report 6.1, Cultural Heritage Centre Budget Update.
I'm happy to move that way, Chair.
You happy to move that?
Yep, I've just got a question, and then if I can speak to it.
Yes,
is that all right?
yes.
So my question is, you've got 300 hours attributed to volunteers. I'm really keen to know the value add and monetary value of that. I think we do acquit those hours from a monetary financial accounting point of view. So just to add that to the value of the, so just happy to take that on notice if that's appropriate.
Yeah.
If I can speak to it,
Yep.
Thank you very much for the report, David and your team. This is the Cultural Heritage Centre is fast becoming a centre of excellence. And I'm going to use that term over and over and over again. That was part of our vision when we set this up. This report demonstrates just how popular cultural heritage is, but not only how popular it is, how well we are doing it in this town. The fact that we've invested in the Cultural Heritage Centre and all its elements means that we're getting bang for buck right here and now, and it's only going to get better and better and better. Got 10,000 visitors through the first exhibition. We're getting good visitation. We've had an anonymous donation of $1,000 by somebody who just wants to contribute and help. How beautiful is that? And that's going to happen more. And I can't wait to get our touch, whatever it is, tap and go. The Art Gallery of the Melbourne, the Art Gallery of Victoria uses that extensively, and it works an absolute treat. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to other opportunities for, I guess, income generation, and we'll talk about the management plan a bit later. But I'd just like to congratulate everyone who's involved. It is an exciting space to be. As I said to you the other day, Jacinta, you've got the best job in the world. And just so many stories to tell and to unravel, but so many more people to come in. And it's a place that you can come back again and again and again. It's not just a one visit place. I can sit in this foyer and I can do it as many times and I'll never get sick of it. There's people coming and going all the time, using toilets, using the library, using the Innovation Hub, using the Cultural Heritage Centre, or just looking at this beautiful building. So congratulations. I'm actually always surprised at how little money you do operate on. I think it is a really cost-effective centre, but I am looking forward to the stories that unfold and just the development of this centre into a centre of excellence.
Excellent. Looking for a seconder of that motion. Deborah, yep. Would you like to comment, make any comments?
Only that I fully concur with everything that Karen said.
Okay. Any comments from the staff before I put this to the vote? Okay. Any other comments, Margaret? Anything to? Okay. Right of reply? That's been no discussion. Okay, put that. All those in favour? Thank you. All those in favour? Deborah, you got to put your hand up? Yep. All those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Right. Okay, 6.2 Gawler Heritage Collection Inquiries, August to October 2020. Now, Mayor had to do that? Someone like to second that? The inquiries? Looking for a seconder? Margaret? Yep. Open it up for discussion. Mayor, do you want to? Margaret, anything? Any comments from the staff regarding the inquiries? No? Okay, no questions? Okay. I'll leave it at that then. All those in favour? Thank you. Well done. Okay, 6.3, proposed collection loans. This is going to be an interesting one. Happy to move that? Yep.
Yep.
Speak to that?
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for the report. I think it is good to be updated on what's happening to the collection and where items are going, who's making use of them, etc. I think that certainly the committee has a role in the borrowing and lending of items, and just either being updated on, on where they are, or the role that certain items are playing in other exhibitions is important, but also in regard to the management plan, ensuring that it doesn't clash with our own vision and our own program of events. And I think I'll talk to that more when I get to that. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. Thank you for the report.
Yep. Someone like to second that? Deborah? Yep. Would you like to speak to it? Or? Okay. I'd just like to say, I think it's a good report, and I quite like the fact that we have this reciprocal relationship with other centres, that we can share items safely between the two. And I'm quite happy that we're actually sharing the cloak with that other organisation. That's very positive. So well done. Okay, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Now, .4, yep. So it's the Gawler Shield interpretive sign. You happy to move that?
Yep. Point 2. So an interpretive statement be placed. So point 1 and 2, I beg your pardon.
So point 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just so we're clear, get rid of that third point 1. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
So if I can speak to that.
Yep, go for it.
The Gawler Shield came out of a discussion that I had as mayor with Uncle Jeffrey Newchurch before this project began. And Jeffrey, I gave Uncle Jeffrey a tour of the old buildings, and he promptly explained to me, after I told him how beautiful the stonework was, that that was part of his people's dreaming, and it had been dug up to make this building. And it sort of put me in my place most appropriately. But after that, we got on like a house on fire. And I said to him, we're wanting to, there's a vision to have a new chamber. And I said, how can we incorporate Kaurna culture, Aboriginal culture, into this building? And we didn't just want a sort of a tick box use of a picture. And he suggested, it had been suggested to me to have a shield made. And I said, well, the shield may help us make very good decisions. So it's not just an artefact on a wall, it's actually hopefully assisting us to make good decisions. So that was the concept behind the Garner Shield. It then became part of a budget item. It was approved through budget, so we had to go through quite an extensive process. Jack Buckskin, of course, was engaged to make the shield. There was a whole cultural process around the making of that shield. The scar tree is in Apex Park, of course, so if you go down there, you can see where the shield came from, in one of our trees in Apex Park. So it's particular to Gawler and to Aboriginal culture, in particular Kaurna culture. So, and the colours are very traditional Kaurna colours as well, although if you go back, it was just red and the wood, it wasn't so much the white. But I think it's really important to have an interpretive statement. I think without it, it loses something. I think it is important to keep the Kaurna Shield here. I think it is important to have permanent display because of that connection with Aboriginal culture and that pride that we take in embracing cultures, particularly Aboriginal culture. So I think the interpretive sign is appropriate. I'm not going to, I have no expertise in that area, so it's not my role to be making any changes to that. I think it reads beautifully. I think people will appreciate understanding the importance of a shield. And so, yes, hope that people support this motion.
Oh, thank you. Deb, you happy to second that? Yep, you'd like to speak on this?
I'd just like to say that I think it's essential that we have something like that there, not just important.
Yep, okay. Any other comments? Any comments from the staff regarding this motion? No? Okay. Nothing, we didn't have a debate, so we'll leave it at that. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Great. We're up to 6.5, Cultural Heritage Centre Marketing Update. Looking for someone to move, I can move that.
I'd like to move that, but with some slight variations. Yep. So I'd like to take out point 2.
Yes.
I'd like to add a new point 3. So leave point 1 and 3, but it becomes 2. And then a new point 3 that staff continue to investigate options for promoting activities relevant to the Gawler heritage, Heritage Collection and the Cultural Heritage Centre. And if I can speak to that,
yes,
Chair.
You can.
I think that there's opportunity, particularly with our wayfinding sign in Walker Place when it comes, to really promote what we're doing. That will have a digital display, quite a big digital display. And I think that might address the issue. I know it's not in Murray Street, but it's very close and lots of people go through Walker Place. I just wasn't convinced about putting a digital frame in the glass area because it's quite clean, and I just think it'll mess with the synergy between the two buildings. So it doesn't mean we can't do it. It just isn't in the recommendation, so it's not a refusal. I like the idea of the acrylic snap frames. I think they're appropriate. They're not too big. They can be bright. We can change them up. I don't think they'll affect disability access, but that might be something to consider to ensure that they don't, so that people can grab hold of the rails. So I think thank you for all your work in this area. The sign out the front, that was quite an expensive sign, so I'd be very reluctant to remove it. I think that works. Yeah, I think that certainly just acknowledging that how we promote is important, particularly around our collection and the Heritage Centre. So, yeah, so hopefully people will support this. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Now, has everybody sort of digested that? So we're moving. So we've changed the motion. Now, is somebody willing to? Yes.
Through the chair, can we just tidy up the exact wording for point 3 so that the committee has
Sorry, recommends staff continue. We don't need recommends. Just staff continue.
Through the chair, we do need a verb in front because it's the committee something. So
that the Cultural Heritage Collection Committee recommends that staff. Yep, that's fine. Continue to investigate options for promoting activities relevant to the. Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yep. Okay. So everyone's aware now of the change of this motion and the wording and the intent of this motion now. Would someone like to second that motion as it now stands? Deborah, are you happy to do that? Yep. Like to speak to it? Okay. Anybody else like to speak to it? Okay. No comments from staff? Okay. It's clear. Everything else? Okay. I'll put that to vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Okay. 6.6 draft Cultural Heritage Management Plan. Now this is a biggie. There. Do you want to, what's that? Yeah, I think so. So people happy to go out of meeting procedure to discuss this? Yep. Moved, Mayor, seconded Deborah. Yep. All those in favour? So we'll go out for about 15 minutes, I'd say. Okay, well, I'll open it up to discussion now. So we're outside of meeting procedure now. We can just discuss it. Yep. Who wants to kick it off? Yeah. Yep, you did that. That's good. Yep, go for it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just made a couple of notes. Firstly, thank you to staff. I've just made some notes on the actual action plan, and I'm on page 8 of the attachment. So I'm not on the agenda, but I'm on the page 8 of 14.
Yep.
So where it says history of the collection, we've done a lot of histories of this collection, and we did a crush report that nearly killed the whole idea really early on in the piece. Schumann and Associates have done another one, and I think there was another one in between that I can't recall. I'm just a bit, we prepare a written history of the collection? That's been done, but I just can't quite, I'm just not quite clear on, I don't know if we need a full written history if you're going down the same road as the crush report with Schumann and Associates. What's the aim of this? Because we've got a lot of history around the collection. Yeah.
Yep.
Apologies. So this is a recommendation that was left over from the 2003 Cultural Heritage Management Plan that when we did the workshop, the committee thought still needed to be in here. The reasoning being that while we have the Schumann report and the Spears report, as well as the Crush report, Spears, yes. Yeah. So they don't talk about the development. So one of the things that Denise used to talk about was understanding. So we certainly understand the very early days, but we don't understand why certain things were collected, say, in the 1890s, and also the decisions made in the 40s, 50s and 60s and 70s. So a more longitudinal study of the collection history.
I think we need to make that clear, that it's actually, it's a separate piece of work to the previous reports that are done so that there's no duplication. I think that would clarify that. But certainly, I just didn't want another report that takes us in a different direction. Yeah, okay. On page 9, I've got, again, point 5 on page 9, studying the collection. There's been a number of people that have accessed the collection and used that information to write books that they then sell, and we don't get any financial recompense. And if we're going to go down this road of scholarship and allowing people to access the collection for whatever reason, there needs to be a cost. They need to pay for it, as far as I'm concerned, you know, because these people are making money, which is fine, but we're not getting a couple of times no recognition of where they got the information, etc. So what's the policy around that? It does concern me a little bit that we'll lose control and that people will take advantage, and we don't. It is a great resource that we should not necessarily share to anyone, particularly if they're going to be making money out of it. And we don't always know that. But yeah, I guess some comments around that.
So yes, so this again, this one was in the original report and it was not actioned out entirely. That's why we put it back in here after the committee's recommendations at the workshop. In terms of people accessing the collection, anyone can access the collection for free. Anyone who wants to reproduce, and they can't access the collection, we're in the room with them and there's a camera so they can't photograph. Anyone who would like to reproduce, generally for family history, we charge $10 a reprint. For anyone who wants to reproduce for publication, they have to put a written request in, which is our procedure says then comes to this committee and they make a recommendation about cost and any criteria associated with that.
Okay. What else did I have? There's one more thing. On the last page. Number 20, I don't have a problem with the action, the aim, but the action. Investigate Visions Australia funding opportunities for creating a travelling exhibition based on the Gawler Heritage Collection. Are we ready for that? Is it too soon? Have we got not more things to focus on? A travelling exhibition would take up, and again, we could get funding, but what goes by the wayside while we're doing a travelling exhibition? And the other thing I'd say is that I'd suggest we put in some wording around when we're loaning objects to other cultural institutions, that it doesn't disadvantage future exhibition opportunities. For the Gawler Heritage Gallery in particular. But yeah, just a question about this travelling exhibition.
So the reason that we thought about that, because Visions Australia provides quite generous funding, including for the development, so it wouldn't be a staff venture. But what we were thinking of, normally it's done on an exhibition that's already been. So I've had preliminary discussions with Denise Schumann about would we potentially tour some of the Into the Light exhibition. So that has the potential to do that. It wouldn't be a staff cost if we won the funding. Denise and Schumann Associates would be employed to decide which parts of the exhibition could be moved about and then have the opportunity. You have to get the funding, you have to go to 5 interstate venues, including regional venues.
Okay.
And one of the reasons that we felt as staff that this was important to consider is that in order to get our, if we're working towards having the Gawler Heritage Collection designated of national significance, we need people who don't necessarily come to Gawler to know about this collection.
Okay, so it wouldn't be at the expense of other...
No, it would actually, there's staff who don't have the capacity in the work schedule or workflow to do that.
No,
so
that was the thing that was at the top of my head, so yeah. And that was all my feedback.
And through the chair, if I may just add to that, in terms of loans, anything that's loaned out of the Gawler Heritage Collection would not be required in any upcoming exhibition. If it was going to be required, well, obviously it'll be returned prior to the need.
Okay. It's just a query.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thank you.
Deborah, you had some items?
I did wonder how someone would access research and not recognise the source of where the information came from. How did you, the Mayor mentioned before that there have been instances where there's no recognition. I thought it was essential. Yeah. I did question whether or not if we should charge people. I mean, standard fees for images, so on, yes. But if someone's making money out of it. I think a strong recognition of the commitment to, disperse information, allow research and so on within a publication would be more beneficial for us than, because it could deter someone wanting to do the research if they thought they had to pay, and what value do you put on that as well, the research. As someone who has done academic research, I've never had to go into I went to the IOC and did some research there and never had to pay anything. But of course, there was a lot of recognition and I think that demanding that a signed document may be put together that should, acknowledge that need and request.
So through the chair, not the local history collection, but the Gawler Institute archives, researchers have to fill in a form saying what they're looking for and why they're requiring access. So we do have a written record that's then trimmed and it remains in council records. So we have documentation should they vary from those agreed conditions. So the policy says, the procedure says that if they're looking to publish, if they're looking for information to publish, they need to request, and the request comes to the committee. We haven't had one of those requests yet.
Microphone, thanks. Microphone, yep.
So we don't know if they acknowledge, we don't have any process to check whether they are in fact publishing, even though they say they're not, I mean, it's probably early days yet, but just a checks and balances, how do you manage that?
So through the chair, may I suggest aligned to point 5, the action next to that. So point 5 is studying the collections. This is on page 9 of 14 of your attachment. One of the actions next to it could well be that a policy for use of items in the collection, especially in publishing, is developed, and formal agreements must be entered into between both council and the party wishing to publish that determines the level of acknowledgement and recognition based on the request, if that makes sense. We can easily develop that. It's a case by case, because obviously you want to acknowledge further for higher levels of consumption, so to speak. So we can definitely do that as part of the actions alongside that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Debbie, yep, more stuff. Especially, yes, good.
Yep. Just addressing back to number 20 again too, with the travelling exhibition. I know, having travelled throughout Australia, that there are some fantastic regional museums, and associating with those museums would be very beneficial to their own reputation here. But do we need to be careful about which ones? Yeah, just wanted to suggest that.
Okay. Any other discussion before we go back into formal meeting procedure? Yep. Another one? Oh, do you want to go? Okay. No, this is just discussion. Yeah, mention it now. We'll talk about it and then go back in. Yes,
It's worth having a roadmap, so that we know you've got like 2021, 24, but I think it'd be good to have a roadmap, a bit like the audit committee work plan, where you actually have a traffic light system, not started, finished, in progress, but when it's due to come up, it could be years, doesn't have to be months, but it could be years. And this is when we'd like to have this done, this is when we'd like to have this done. And it gives a spatial understanding of the plan and where we're up to. And as a committee, we can review, we can have an update, we can have that plan sitting, a bit like the audit committee. They bring this plan out of all their policies that we need to review, and when it's due, and we go, oh, that's due then, and we know it's coming up then. And yeah, it doesn't mean things change and you can't always realise that, but it gives us as a committee. So I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion before we get back into the meeting procedure?
Just commenting on that from the Mayor, so through the Chair, yes, definitely. We do have an annual work plan already and we can incorporate that within it, but I think it's very valuable just to have a timeline work plan, indicative work plan to deliver the heritage management plan. Obviously, things do change along the way, but an indicative work plan would be most appropriate.
Yep. Indicative, that's the word. Okay, we'll go back into meeting procedure. Now, I'm looking for someone to move the officer's recommendation. Yep, Mayor Redmond.
And I'm just going to add an extra point to that, that an action plan / roadmap with indicative timelines be included in the final draft plan to be presented, to be included in the final draft plan. I think we'll just leave it at that because it'll be presented at this committee. Is that correct? That's correct? Yep. Yeah.
So if I may, through the Chair, if we could just change and a work plan / roadmap rather than action plan, because we already have an action plan.
Yep.
It's the work
That's what it
plan
is,
for the
roadmap.
actions,
Yeah.
yes.
Work plan.
/ roadmap, thank you.
Okay, do you want to speak to that, Mayor?
Yes, briefly. I think it's fabulous to see the development over the last couple of years of the Cultural Heritage Centre, and this plan has been critical to how we've been able to get things done. It's been a great plan, and now I think the vision of the plan is maintained. And I think it's improved because, you know, we're growing and we're developing and we're changing. So, yeah, I think I look forward to the next however many years. What is it? 5 years. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, does someone like to second that? Deborah, are you happy to second that? You'd like to speak to that, Deborah? Oh, okay. I'd just like to say I think it's wonderful, the roadmap, and what I'm very happy about is that we have a dedicated resources to actually work on this plan and work on the heritage collection. So I think it's fantastic, and it's very few councils have that, I think. So it's very good that our council is supporting this. So it's and having the roadmap, all the other councillors and the community know where the heritage collection is going, and that's very important for openness and transparency. So it's good. Okay, we'll just make sure we've got that finished up. And it was seconded by Deborah. If you want to put that up there as well. Yep. That's it. Okay, that's the final wording. Everyone's happy with that? Put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. No divisions. Good. Okay, that finishes off all our that finishes off all our officers' recommendations, all our items. Okay, items listed for discussion. Updated motion list, page 27. Okay. Yep, we've got that. Do we need to do anything with that? We just have to.
Through the Chair, only if the committee has any questions related to it. If not, we can move on.
Move on, yep. Okay, items listed for discussion at future meetings. Yes, Mayor, 8.1, here we go.
Exhibition design.
Yep.
I think I'm keen to see the next exhibition design, what items will be included, the themes, etc.
Yep, okay.
So through the Chair, just to clarify, that's for the next exhibition? Yes.
No, food. Yeah.
Yes, the next food exhibition,
Food one,
yes.
yep.
Yeah, not the one that's here.
No. Clearly. Thank you.
Okay, any other items that people would like to see listed? Okay, questions without notice? Okay, any other? Do you want to put that in as well? Okay. Okay, any questions without notice? Any motions without notice? I'll close the meeting. Thank you for everybody's attendance.